Good morning, my name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the weekly energies for today's Monday's Musings. It's nearly the afternoon and most of my morning has been taken up with future plans, or what I would hope would lead towards future plans. And they haven't actually turned out as I would have wished, as I would have liked. Although in theory, now thinking about it, I find myself wondering, or have they? So I've just spent the morning looking at another home, a home that isn't actually the ideal, not really what I would want, but better than what I have. And that feels like key this week, to look out where we may be getting distracted. Okay, so it's a two-prong, I can see a fork in the road, looking at where we may be distracted because we don't want to be in the situation that we're in. So taking what is offered to us, almost grasping it desperately because it's better than what we have. But then recognizing as part of the journey that it isn't actually a distraction, but a way of working towards what you do actually want. Now, that doesn't mean that the thing that is offered to you in the beginning is what is for you, but just an opportunity to steer away from what isn't, on two levels. So where you already are, recognizing the worth of what you would actually like to bring in by seeing what doesn't resonate with that, what doesn't align with that, and moving forward. And it feels like a roundabout way to get to where we want to be, and it is. This year really is a roundabout way, a different maneuverability to where we want to go. And what I sense is a new way of working with the energy. So we are in the Chariot year, we are in the Tower year as well, as a reflection of that, when everything adds up. And that feels like key. When everything adds up, we realise that this year is all about change. So even if it feels as if we're being run around the houses, it's still about change. It's still about looking at where you are, looking at the alternatives offered, and looking at how they align with what you want, and owning it if they don't. Not thinking, oh, nothing's going to change, but actually recognising that what isn't for you, and perhaps bringing back some of your energy from those situations, which is hard, right? It's hard. So today, this house isn't really what we're looking for. Very close, but it isn't really what we're looking for. And it's an act of honing in, of strengthening that spiritual imagination, that dream, that muscle, that heart within us. That's what I hear, that heart. So as we lead into this weekend, we are due a full moon in Leo. And it is really about being honest with ourselves and being honest with what we want. So I really struggled with the beginning of this video because I couldn't get my hair sorted. As you can see, I just couldn't get my hair sorted. I tried everything. It was doing its own thing. A real Leo mane doing its own thing. Wanted to be curly, then wanted to be frizzy, then wanted to be straight, and didn't know what it wanted. And when we think of the hair, our hair is our connection to source, to spirit. And this week it really feels like leading into the full moon in Leo, taking time to really listen to what we want, know that what we feel and what we yearn for is enough to direct that to spirit, and just stick with that. Just really stick with that. And that's hard because we end up getting distracted because we doubt what it is we want. So if we're really firm in what it is we want, rigid to an extent, then what isn't for us isn't going to sway us. Okay, so really being firm in that and rooting into that this week. So why wouldn't we do that? Well, the two decks that I've picked up for this week's energy, which I'm about to get onto in a moment, are the Osho Zen cards. And they were the ones I originally picked because the energy feels soft, gentle, chilled out, meditative, otherworldly almost. And it feels like I want a sense of that nurture, of that, I hear the word mollycoddling, okay? But this week being very aware that it needs to be matter of fact as well. So with the Osho Zen, I love the hedonistic feeling of the cards. But a lot of the times, because they're not symbols that I'm used to, because they're not a universal language I recognize immediately, I struggle with what card is what sometimes, particularly the elements, and that feels like key. I struggle with what I'm actually seeing and what that emotion is. So this week, when we are undecided what it is we are seeing in front of us, what do we feel? That really feels like key. And to not see that as a hedonistic approach, but a very intellectual, rationalized approach. Our emotions are what guide us. You know, whether we want to call that hoo-hoo or not, if we have a feeling about something, regardless why we have that feeling, it could be based on past stories, it could be based on values or opinions or whatever, but that initial reaction is there for a reason. And if we don't take note of it, we lose half of the information of what is occurring. So really recognizing that this week. But also the other deck that I've picked, I can't for the life of me remember who designed them, and if I do find out, I will share it in the comments. They're very matter of fact, they're very straightforward, they're very simple. There isn't a lot of information in the cards, and it gets straight to the point. So this week the energy feels like allowing our emotions to get us straight to the point. So this morning with this house, I knew it was a make-do situation. I knew it was going to lead me to another step towards the ultimate outcome. I didn't know if that would be that house, but I knew I had great gratitude for where I was. I knew I couldn't stay where I was, and I knew that this step was a mere bridge to the next part. I knew it was part of the overall change, and that feels like key this week. If we can recognize our emotions are signifying areas that need change. So we're going into the month of February, and February is Latin for, I won't say the Latin word because it would just be sacrilege to the ears, but it is Latin for cleansing and purging and really shifting through energy that no longer needs to be taken forward into the spring. It is the little month. It is a smaller opportunity, and recognizing those smaller opportunities this month in order to see them for the steps that they are towards the bigger picture. So the place that I went to look at was named after birds, and ironically we had to go down Condor Crescent to get there, which condor and eagle are the higher perspective. They are the way of the east. They are the new beginning. So even though that house isn't for me, I can feel the new beginning needed in regards to my base and my foundation, and that feels very poignant this week, that keeping an eye on what we feel. I can really feel that, keeping an eye on what we feel in our solar plexus and in our sacral in particular, and how it relates to what we hear and the actions that we apply to that. Very uniting of the masculine and the feminine this week. Are we creating with our feelings? Are we creating with our heart's desire? Are we creating with love? And what is that to us? And what support, nurture, foundations does that require? And the last thing I'm going to share on this morning's journey already, back to the hair, really feeling like everything had to be perfect before I started, and knowing that, okay, I may not be elated because we're moving and my hair may not want to do what I want it to do, but in each moment there is an opportunity to share what needs to be shared, to share what we feel, to share any guidance, to connect, to source ourselves and each other. It doesn't need to be perfect. Really letting go of that this week as well. Purging this idea of perfection this week in particular. Okay, because what does perfection do to the heart? It's not unconditional love, right? It's love with conditions, and really looking at that this weekend in particular as we go into the full moon in Leo. Okay. Well, so I'm hearing that the full moon in Leo, the 5th, is also related to Fortuna. I'm not quite sure how, but really looking at being open to fortunes coming in ways that you may not have expected. Not letting the pride before a fall. I hear that as well, you know. We ask for help. However we ask it, be it our loved ones, be it source, be it our gods, or whatever it is we believe in, the cards, each other, we ask for help, and that help can come in many different ways and guises. Being less selective on how that appears this week and what it is we're willing to receive. Okay, my dog's having a little whine, so we'll see how well he plays it out, but until then, let's look at the energies for this week and how to best navigate them. My eyes are drawn to a flower in front of me, and it really feels like a gentle, soft blooming this week. Just allowing ourselves to open slowly to the light available for in bulk. Of course, we have it in bulk and first and the second, and allowing ourselves to slowly open up to perhaps desires that we've tried to maintain, desires that we've tried to not hold down, but perhaps not quite ready to face. Yeah, and at the bottom we have the Chariot, which is awareness. Okay, a real stripping back here of the animus Yeah, a real connection to our own wild Salka, our own inner child here this week. Okay, allowing that to call is what's going to be the breakthrough, because at the bottom of the pack we also have justice. So, you know, look at these two cards together. We can choose whether that's going to be a gentle unzipping or a literal breakthrough. Okay, really feeling into those energies. So the Tower card for me in particular isn't about forcing change, no matter how much we want it. I could have made that house fit the scenario today, but about knowing that change is still there, still occurring, and that it can take time. It's a process, or it can be immediate, you know, one and the same. And when we allow time for the slower, what we see as slower progress to occur naturally, then the quicker shifts kind of happen. And what I'm seeing is the 1010 binary code, the off, on. So taking time to be when we're given that opportunity, knowing that things are still moving, and acting when we feel drawn to, is what's going to really create a new reality, a new matrix, if you will, for ourselves. And it starts this week. Pressure starts this week. Okay. Right. And I want to say work starts every moment, and no, this week is quite a significant turning point. Okay. Now we have the 8 of Cups and the 10 of Wands trying to chuck themselves out at the moment, and it's letting go. Okay. Recognizing that everything that happens, even if it might appear small, is still part of a vast ocean, and letting go of the expectations on that, and letting go of the expectations of letting go. You know, it can be as small or as large as needed. Okay, even our breath is letting go. And we have suppression there, which is I do believe the 10 of Wands. So letting go of that pressure. I just said no pressure, but letting go of that pressure that we put on ourselves. Okay, because underneath we do have go with the flow, and the High Priestess, which is the inner voice. Gosh, so the reading is just telling itself, okay, because we then have tuning in. So going with the flow here, trusting our inner voice and tuning in. And this reminds me of the Hungry Ghost, this card here, all those voices that tell us that it's not enough, that being still isn't enough, that what we're doing isn't enough, that we need to keep forcing the changes. And recognizing and trusting our own connection this week is key. Okay, is there anything else from the Osho? Because I feel, okay, yeah, 9 of Pentacles, King of Pentacles here. We have abundance, ripeness, and slowing down here. Now what I was going to say is I feel as if the more fate-like energies, so the higher energies, if you will, the energies that are guiding us this week, they're the ones I want to use the Osho Zen for. So to have a more hedonistic approach to the higher energies, to enjoy connecting to spirit, to source, to life, really finding the abundance again that exists in slowing down in the moment this week, really grounding into the body, is going to bring about the biggest change here. Because when our feelings align with what is going on, there is this connection, this spark, this truth, this truth that occurs between us and our higher self, us and source, us and life itself. I knew that. You know, it's almost like we're just flowing within our own worth, our own sense of identity, our own path. Okay, so I knew this morning that house wasn't the one, and it feels okay. It feels right, and it feels, you know, it might not be the change that I wanted, but I know that it's flowing towards that, and that feels like key this week. Because the card that's upside down is the 2 of Cups here. I just turned it up the right way, but how we connect with ourselves, with each other, and with source, it was upside down. It could do with a little bit of shifting. Okay, and the one that's underneath is the 9 of Wands, exhaustion. We don't have to do this alone. We're not doing this alone. We don't have to fight this on our own. So asking for that help. Maturity is at the bottom. Yeah, the Queen of Pentacles. We really want to nurture the change that's available right now, connecting to the earth, connecting to the feminine within us. And that means receiving. That means asking for help and actually receiving. Okay, I know for a fact that I'm very used to doing a lot of things on my own, or at least believing that I'm doing them on my own. And I will ask for help, get that help, and I think, well, yeah, but. So really being open to how we receive this week, how we allow change to occur, is going to be a pivotal moment for what it is we are trying to achieve. Okay, so on a more human, logistic level, it's not to say one is better than the other, but it's to say that when it comes to the fates, when it comes to the guiding forces and energies this week, being in the moment is going to be enough clarity. When it comes to our actions, they may need to be a bit more logical, because there's a beautiful balance from now until Beltane between the masculine and the feminine trying to occur. At the bottom of the pack, my dog shifting his position, which feels like key. At the bottom of the pack, we have the 8 of Swords in this deck. And my dog, the Salka, the Animus within us, shifting position. Okay, really, really how we see our emotions, rather than being a victim of them, rather than them imprisoning us because we're trying to logically understand them, shifting our position and allowing them to be the rationale behind things this week could really change the direction in which we're facing. Look up. Look up always. Okay, maybe not concentrate so much on the path in front, but where it is heading. So again, back to the house analogy. Yes, right now that isn't changed, but going to visit a house has shifted my energy. It's left me grateful for this place. It's made me more aware that it is time to move forward, and it's aligned me with something I've known for quite some time. So looking up. Yeah, sometimes, you know, when we turn a corner in a car, for all those that drive, or I can see a horse with a cart, the chariot, and I can remember that from years ago. But, you know, we look to where we're going quickly. Yeah, we look to where we're going, and then we automatically end up steering in that direction. So continually keeping your eye on the horizon and what it is you're trying to achieve this week is going to be the most logical thing that you can do to navigate the energies. Okay, so with that in mind, how can we best navigate the energies? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Overall, at the bottom of the pack. Now, I felt the moment I said, how can we best navigate the energies, a real shift. Need to get this done, need to get it done quickly. And I'm not surprised to see at the bottom of the pack the Knight of Swords here. Okay, because yes, this week is again a week of clearing, and underneath we have the 2 of Cups, and it does feel, again, this was in the Osho Zen and the World. We have the 2 of Cups here and the World, and I'm going to show that too. Gosh, okay. And the Queen of Swords. So we have the masculine, the feminine here, how they unite and the impact that that has on the world within us. How do our thoughts align with our actions? How do our emotions align with our ability to give and to receive? And what impact is that having on the very world that we are creating this week? So it's going back to the emphasis of wanting change and being the change, okay? Keeping your eye on the horizon of what it is you're trying to achieve, but also aligning your actions to it as well. I didn't get caught up in not getting that house today because it isn't actually what I want long term. Okay, so I would recognise if I did get it, it would be a small step towards that. But actually on the horizon, it isn't what I want long term. Really taking time this week to re-examine what is it you want in time for the full moon in Leo, because we have the Ace of Wands, but this reminds me of Imbolc, that spark, that fire, yeah, with Bridget, with the ground. What is it we actually want to plant? What is it we are connecting to, and how do they relate? So we talk about grounding, but the best way to ground what it is we're trying to manifest is to actually embody it. That isn't necessarily fake it till you make it, but you know, I'm not an advocate of disguising any pain that you feel or any feelings or any emotions, but recognizing they are all connected, they are all related to that. So we can have pain, we can want to improve our health, and we can have physical pain, and we can feel as if things aren't shifting, or we can recognize that that pain is the energy leaving the body. Okay, so really noticing this week that everything we experience is related. And I feel as if my words are stumbling here. So what is this about? Recognizing you're just at the beginning stage. Starting again. Starting again. Knowing that you're starting again with the fertilizer of what has happened before. You're starting again with every experience that you've had, really compounding it down, really squashing it down, getting the goodness out of it and using that as fertilizer. But it isn't the same situation. It's not the same. Every day is different, and what you want has changed also, because you have changed. So on the Monday we have the Hierophant. Okay, so what do I see with the Hierophant? My eyes are drawn automatically to the almost begging figures at the bottom here. Yeah, and it can feel sometimes as if we are a slave to the system, a slave to how things are. How are we going to change universal laws? How are we going to change what is going on for us? You know, it's not like we haven't tried. That's what I feel. It's not like we haven't tried. So we're just going to hand it over and, yeah, just bow down to a higher power. And to an extent, surrender is fantastic. However, how are we going to change? The I here, recognizing our own perception of ourself as the Hierophant, as the keeper of the sacred, as the teacher of our own lessons, and standing up. We can be the foundation. We can be the foundation of what it is we are trying to achieve here, but it's down to how we see ourselves. It's difficult, right? Like, I know the home I want, and I want it to be our own and everything else. And right now, physically, I have no idea how that's going to happen. But because I have no idea how that's going to happen, it means anything is possible. I'm not limiting it with the ideas that I have, because I have none. I have none. So there's that surrender there, but also that recognition of I get to pick how I see this. I can see it as never happening, or hey, it could happen in any way, shape or form. There's no structure here. There's no rigidity here, and to be open to that. Knowing that 5 is a halfway point, right? Okay, so on the Tuesday, we have the 6 of Cups here. And it is, again, about receiving that help. I love this card. I love all these cards because they are very simple. What do we see here? Well, it looks as if the images are made of clay, so they can be moulded. Yeah, we can all be moulded, especially from childhood, in regards to what we believe in and our values and our worth as well, and how much we are open to receive and how much we give. And then around them, cups. Lots and lots of cups full of everything that is needed. Simply around us. Okay, so taking chance to look up and see that this week, and allowing our inner child to show us really feels like key. On the Wednesday we have the Queen of Cups here, and what I like about this card on the Wednesday, yes, it's almost as if she is giving the cup here to the child, but what I really like about this card is the dolphin at the bottom, the intelligence of our emotions, and Atlantean energy, swift, clear, rapid, true energy, but also what she's holding to her heart, a shell. Now we all know when we hold shells to our ears, what do we hear? We hear the ocean. Okay, so recognizing the vastness of what it is we long for, and holding space for that, seeing that as sacred, and listening to that, particularly as we lead into the full moon in Leo. Okay, very heart-led week this week. The heart coherence is the very intelligence that we now need to move forward. Okay, and on the Thursday, that comes through in the 6 of Pentacles. I see a lot of red tape here. I see a lot of untying of things that have been owed to us. I can really relate to that on the Thursday, and a balance here, and almost as if pennies from heaven. That's what I hear on the Thursday. Pennies from heaven. Okay, just flowing down with ease, and now those ribbons almost look like DNA strands. Okay, so really looking at our ancestral beliefs around money, physical abundance, physical balance, you know, going back to the Hierophant. Now reminds me of the more shadow aspect of the 6 of Pentacles, where someone is lording it over another person when it comes to money, be that a system or an actual individual person. Come Thursday, that's going to bring harmony and balance. Okay, and remembering what we give out, we get back. Okay, that feels like key on the Thursday, because on the Friday we have our second major arcana, which I'm not surprised to finally start seeing in the readings, the Chariot. Okay, come the Friday, we start to get a real emphasis into what the whole year is about. And it is as we go into the full moon in Leo, but we start to get a real feel into how we are being directed and what choices we may want to start thinking about. I was going to say what choices we may want to make, but we have to think about them first. We have to think about them first and actually feel into which ones still resonate. I love living in the country. Absolutely adore living in the country. It's something I've always wanted. And I've been living in the country for about 4 years now. And obviously you get the real side of living in the country. The freezing cold, the damp, the old storage heaters, you know, the fire that doesn't heat the house properly, the bath that takes hours to run. You know, you start to get that balance. And living in the country for me has changed. It's changed, it's evolved. Yes, it's evolved. So being very aware of what may have shifted in regards to your desires for 2023. And I know we're only in February by that point. So what do we have? We have the 30th, 31st, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. I know we're only the 3rd of February at that point, but it feels as if the energy is really starting to build in regards to what brings back that spark, what's going to ignite your heart, and how has that changed? Are we going to let the past direct us, or are we going to let the future guide us? The reality is they're going to be one and the same, but that will determine the journey that we have, whether it's going to be straightforward or around the bushes. And there is no right or wrong here, and even that on the Friday can just take off some of that pressure. Okay, knowing that the only thing that really needs to be stable, the Hermit is the Cancer, it's the emotions. It's the only thing that needs to be stable here is our emotions and our ability to ride them, and it's going to be for the whole year. Okay, going back again to, regardless of what is occurring around us, if we can be solid in who we are, any changes this year, we're just going to be, okay, that's leading me to where I next need to be. And it can be that simple, I think, really, but it can be that simple. We've had a lot of training over the last few years, a lot of training. Okay, so on the Saturday we have the Four of Pentacles. Normally the Four of Pentacles is portrayed holding on to things, and my fingers curled up then. Portrayed holding on to things, but here this character is taking everything that they have gained and really allowing it to stretch them, really allowing it to open them up. That's what I hear, to open them up, so we can think about our values and our beliefs, or things that have maybe held us back in particular come the Saturday, and we can be, it can make us small or it can make us bigger, because we can also see the very things that we have got over, the very things that we have experienced. We start to we start to recognize our worth. So I get a lot of people that come to me that want help with protection, and they end up putting so many bubbles around themselves, from this need to ground, need to play small, need to go within, that actually if we can just take that heart energy, that grounded physical heart energy, and expand it out, it has a complete difference. So recognizing by the Saturday, contractions have to come out too. Okay, and that's that blossoming, that's that blooming, really taking everything that you have learned and allowing it to open you to new lessons now. Otherwise we become at risk of becoming the Hierophant, the more shadow aspect, from the Monday. We become at risk of being very stuck in our ways. This is how it's always been, this is how it works, I can't see any different way. Well, actually not with that mentality. Opening up to new lessons. School is out, right? It's started again. Let's learn something different here. It's all in the choice, because on Sunday, so with the full moon, we have the Lovers. It's all in the choice of what you want to discover this year, and that's going to really navigate your path. So rather than focus on what you want, recognizing what you want is part of who you are becoming anyway. Obviously going a bit deeper than that. So, I want £1 million, so I'm becoming a millionaire. Yes, to an extent, but looking at your views around worth and things like that, perhaps or not, we're all on different journeys. My journey is one of depth, and I do tend to go too deep sometimes. So rather than focusing on what it is you want, focus on It's just gone. It's gone out of my mind. Focus on how you want to feel. Focus on how you are going to branch in that direction. Yes, focus on the journey that you want to experience and the lessons that you want to learn this year. Or recognizing by focusing on what you want, you are actually asking for those lessons. Yeah, that feels clearer. Yeah, so, if you're going to ask for £1 million, don't be surprised if the lessons that come up are related to abundance. And your belief in winning things and your belief in chances and gambles, and, if you're going to ask for a relationship that is X, Y, and Z, yeah, you're going to be shown how you need to align to that. And that, on the Sunday, being very aware of that with the full moon. Okay, so knowing that whatever we call out is going to call us out in return. Because that's going to bring some vulnerability. You can see here both characters. We do have the sun and moon. We do have the masculine and the feminine here. But both characters are holding or shying away from their genitals, their physical desires here. So really looking at why that might be. But also I love how they have each other's symbol as a necklace. They have each other in their heart, which really feels like key this week. Whatever it is you are trying to achieve, knowing that it wants you as much as you want it, because it's part of you. Okay, so it's part of your shadow, it's part of your light, it's part of your lessons, it's part of your teaching and experience here. So overall, now swig of my tea. Major arcanas, we have the Hierophant, the Chariot and the Lovers. We are only February, however, it feels like we are being given a great opportunity here to let go of the lessons that no longer serve us, and recognising that we don't have to bow down to old systems, beliefs and values anymore. We have learned enough, but that comes from our perception on how we see things. Today with the house, I feel the same pattern coming over and over, and I'm done with that. Okay, but that's going to take great strength, and it's going to take great awareness this week that means you are opening your heart to other lessons. And much as we may not want to admit it, there's always secondary gains behind things. So we may not be moving forward because those lessons have become comfortable. Okay, so really looking at that, asking ourselves this week, what lessons can I still gain from this? What am I trying to show myself with this situation? What choices need to be made, and how can I best move forward? Okay, because yes, the energy does feel backwards and forwards this week, and it does feel in a roundabout way, but remembering we steer that vessel. We can decide not to go down there. We can make something fit our situation, or we can decide that it's not quite right and keep hoping and keep moving forward, knowing that by saying no to something, we're saying yes to something else. Really being aware of that with our choices this week. So not what are we saying no to, what are we saying yes to? Feels like key. So overall, we then have 2 pentacle cards, which is a beautiful balance, but I want to leave them till the end. I want to leave the physical stuff until the end. So we have 1 sword card, which is the Queen of Swords, and it is about nurturing our thoughts this week. And ironically, I want to leave the physical stuff until the end. So maybe bringing that forward and looking at where that is in balance. So that's an old pattern of mine. So when I look at the 6 of Pentacles and the 4 of Pentacles, I can see that actually maybe that needs to be stretched a bit further. Nurturing our thoughts and recognizing which ones aren't nurturing us. And then letting go, cutting through our own bullshit this week feels really key, and the most caring thing that we can do for ourselves. And that's going to bring about our only wand card this week, which is an Ace of Wands, which is a new beginning here, a great opportunity to shift and shed our skin that doesn't come from matching our environment. Or maybe it will. The light just flashed. Maybe it will. Maybe it will come. You've got 2 salamanders here, even though it's 1 Ace of Wands. Maybe it will come from seeing our reflection in things. That house today wasn't enough, and I need to be okay with that. Okay, and seeing that reflection is going to help us think about, okay, so what do we want? Okay, what we're doing is we're not necessarily making a new intention, but we're putting new energy behind it. Again, by recognizing what we're saying yes and no to, even in our own mind, especially in our own mind this week, and then in our emotions, because we have 2 cup cards, the 6 of Cups and the Queen of Cups, 2 beautiful queens in here, very much about nurturing our thoughts and our emotions and recognizing that one nurtures the other, or not, as the case may be. Okay, so being very aware of that and being aware of how well we mother what we're trying to create with our heart, and the impact that that has actually on our own inner child, and the molding that has come as a result. We all have had childhoods that may not have been what we would like, one way or another. And if we haven't, that's fantastic. If you can say, actually, no, I haven't, I absolutely adore everything that happened, I'm very, very, very grateful and happy for you. But the majority of us would have liked a little bit, would like a little bit more childhood, okay, to experience whatever we need to experience. And what I really sense this week is our childhood isn't done. We are children of the universe. We are always learning. We are always experiencing. We can always have that joy and innocence in life. It's how well we nurture that. It's not too late to be a child. Okay, so really embracing that this week. And that feels like the physical stuff that we leave until the end, which feels like it needs to come to the forefront. It needs to stretch us now. We need to stretch our time to make space for this younger, fun, light, ease and grace energy to come through. When we think about Leo, when we think about the zodiac sign of Leo, but also a full moon in Leo, right? Don't forget the Lions. Excuse me. Don't forget the Lions, that light energy, that fun energy, that laying in the sun, playing energy, that curiosity energy. Often Leos are depicted, quite rightfully so, as strong and roaring and, king of the jungle type energy. There's two sides, and it is about remembering the light this week, really remembering the light and allowing it to balance what we give and receive, and stretching us open so that we can hear underneath what it is we truly, truly want. Okay, so let's put these back in the pack, and we're going to have one card from each. Overall, it's going to be that one. So for the Osho Zen, for the more hedonistic energy, it's upside down. The cards are both upside down, okay? And it feels as if the very thing that's going to turn it up the right way, we have letting go, suppression, and the outsider, Five of Pentacles. They're the only cards that are up the right way, okay? So letting go of the responsibility that comes from this poverty mentality, which is linked to our worth. It's linked to our inner child worth. Our life without the innocence, the light, the joy, the fun is going to be unnecessarily hard. And it is about letting that go, keeping in balance. For every struggle this week, give yourself a pat on the back in a way, in a physical way. For everything that hasn't happened, give yourself something to help you focus on what has. It's down to us to maintain that balance. And then it feels as if we can actually turn the cards up the right way, which are the Ten of Swords, rebirth. And again, we have that child. And I love how she's literally coming out of the heart of a lion. So by this full moon in Leo, a huge opportunity of rebirth in regards to our mental, and I want to say institution, because our mind can become an institution, right? It can become a prison, but there feels like there's a real rebirth here if we can allow our heart to release our inner child, taking time, not being the miser here with the Four of Pentacles, not making it all about money or what we're going to gain out of something. What's the point of painting because what's the point of creating something because who's going to buy it, who's going to be interested, what's the point of putting time by for our inner child because hey, I've got to do X, Y and Z. And that's not downplaying what we have to do. Put on some music while you're cleaning your home and dance. Sing while you're getting ready for work. I don't know what that will take for you to embody your inner child, but it might be something so very small. Seeing things through the eyes of a child, seeing each other as children. Let's see a few connotations on that. Oh, you child. But seeing each other as children, softening up, That's what I really feel this week, because we have the Page or Princess of Cups here. Unlike the Queen of Cups, this character is almost having to look at the very base of the cup, at the very base of what holds the emotions, the wonder, the awe, the very root. And I can hear the analogy of, what did you love doing as a child? Because it's that is what's going to take you forward, or I'm going to say it is what your profession, your calling. Okay, so what is at the base of everything that you feel? What is at the base of everything that you desire? What is at the base of everything that you hold in front of you that brings you awe, that brings you magic? What is it? It's an emotion, it's a feeling, it's a sensation, it's an alignment. And what can you do to bring that in to everything that you are? Because we have the Two of Swords. Balance. And that balance comes from us as well. You know, we can ask for help, but we also must help ourselves when that help arrives, or become the help that we're searching for. There's a real balance here needed mentally. And in regards to our higher self and how we view our higher self, interesting, maybe seeing our inner child as our higher self for this week and just seeing what happens with that could be quite interesting, because we do have the Moon and the Seven of Pentacles. So by the full moon here, there is growth. There's huge potential for growth, huge potential to take what has been gifted to us from our higher self and forming it into something that can now solidly grow and take fruit. That's what I hear. Take fruit. What is at the root of the fruit that you are trying to feed from this week? So, you know, going back to the analogy of the lovers and the apple and Adam and Eve, why did you bite into this wisdom in the first place? Why? What is behind why it is? What is behind what you do? What is behind what you want? What is behind what you are trying to achieve? Find that seed and feed it. Take care. Have the most wonderful week.